Good morning, respected Secretary Sir, Principal Ma'am, esteemed faculty, honored speaker, and dear participant. A very warm welcome to all of you to Sri Chandraprabhu Jain College, Minju, for our special webinar on AI Innovation Sprints Rapid Prototyping for Digital Transformation, proudly organized by the Department of Computer Applications, Cyborg 2026. To formally commence this session, may I invite Lieutenant A.N. Tirunallai, Assistant Professor and Head of the Computer Applications Department, to extend a warm welcome and set the stage for today's learning.
Namaste to one and all. A warm welcome makes every moment special. On behalf of the Department of Computer Applications, I warmly welcome you all to today's webinar on AI Innovation Sprints Rapid Prototyping for Digital Transformation. I extend my sincere welcome to our resource person, Dr.M.Sabarish, Department of MCA, MEASI Institute of Information Technology, Chennai. Our respected principal, Dr. N. Sujata ma'am, Secretary Sir, Shri Lalit Kumar Ojay, all heads, faculty members and all participants. Learning never stops. We are glad you are a part of this section. Thank you and have a great session. Once again, I welcome you all.
Thank you, ma'am. We are truly delighted to have such a distinguished personality with us today. So, I would like to enlighten about our speaker's achievement and contributions. Dr. M. Sabarish, an instructional expert of his calibre and researcher with over 16 plus years of experience in the field of teaching. He holds a distinguished academic record completing his PhD in computer science from Wales University. His educational foundations include an MPhil in computer applications from St. Peter's University, an MCA from Rajalakshmi Engineering College, Anna University. Currently, Dr. N. Sabarish serves as an assistant professor in the PG Department of Computer Applications at MEASI Institute of Information Technology in Chennai. He serves as a visiting faculty for MEASI Academy of Architecture and as a resource person in several colleges. And prolific researcher Dr. M. Sabarish has published two books, Software Engineering 2022 and Data Engineering 2024. He also holds two patents published in the year of 2024 and 2025 in the title of Next Generation AI Telecommunication Network Infrastructure and Autonomous Machine Learning Model for IoT Device Authentication and Intrusion Detection in 2025. His research contributions include published numerous papers in Scopus indexed journals and IEEE Explore focusing on software-defined networks, IoT security, and deep learning, receiving the International Best Paper Award 2024 from SkyTech Publications for his work on trust secure attacker detection. Beyond the classroom, Dr. Sabrish is a dedicated mentor and administrator. He has served as a event coordinator, hackathon club coordinator, organized several hackathons and events. Now I would like to invite the speaker, Dr. M. Sabrish sir, to start the session.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the opportunity for the SCP Jain College and the Department of Computer Application from SCP Jain College.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Is my screen is visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. Very good morning to one and all present here for the webinar on AI Innovation Sprints, Rapid Prototyping for Digital Transformation. So here I'm going to explain about what is meant by Gen AI as a basic thing and what are the things which are involved in the rapid prototyping by means of the prompt engineering. So which makes us to transform into a digital transformation. So best before going into the slides, let me tell me about what is Gen AI. So generative AI is just a type of artificial intelligence that can create a new content. The content can be like text, images, audio, video, or it can be either code also. What is Gen AI? Rather than just analyzing or classifying the existing data, we can able to learn the patterns from the large data sets. So if you want to tell about the example for the Gen AI, we can tell about the ChatGPT, the Copilot through GitHub, DALL-E, etc. So what is the purpose of the generative AI? To use it to transform the rapid application development. So in this slide, I'm going to focus on why the generative AI is a game changer in rapid application development. So which is called as RAD. So the first part you can able to see the accelerated prototyping. So traditionally, when we develop software, the prototyping takes weeks or even months. Developers used to write code, they'll be testing it, redesigning it, and they'll be repeating the cycle once again. So by using the generative AI, we can able to generate the user interface layouts instantly. We can auto-generate backend APIs, which means the application program interfaces. We can create sample data sets and test case in seconds by using the generative AI. Even documentation and requirement drafts can be AI assisted. So if you want to tell me clearly about it, just an example I'm going to give it to you. If you want to give an AI tool a prompt like, just create a student management system with login, attendance, and result modules. So if I'm going to give this a prompt, so within seconds I can get the database
Sir,
schema.
sorry for the interruption.
Yes, sir.
You are in the same first slide. There is no slide transition.
Oh,
Can you make it a full screen?
it is the full screen only, sir.
Okay. Fine.
Is it visible now, sir?
Yeah. You are in the
Yeah.
second slide. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So just considering the example, if I want to give a prompt like create a student management system with login, result modules and attendance. So I can able to derive within seconds what are things I'm going to get it through it are. I can able to get the front end structure as a sample one, the database schema, the backend code snippets, some API endpoints. So these are some of the things which can able to give it by means of a prompt. So what I going to convey to the first point of accelerating prototypes, the generative AI does not eliminate development. It compresses the development time, which means the time to market becomes faster, which is critical in startups and digital transformation initiatives. So next coming up to the intelligent automation. What is intelligent automation? You know very well what is automation, but just a difference between the AI intelligent automation from the older one is the earlier automation meant it is of a rule based systems, which means if I'm going to prescribe a condition, I'll be getting the output. But whereas in generative AI, it introduces the context aware automation, which means I can able to understand the natural language, the business requirements, intent behind queries, context from the previous inputs, and these are the things which can be done by implementing the intelligent automation. Let me explain about this with a proper example. A traditional chat box which responds only to the predefined queries, which means a generative AI chatbot can able to interpret ambiguous questions, it can able to summarize documents, generate responses dynamically, it can adapt tone based on context. So through this, the intelligent automation concept, it is not just automated, but we can able to tell it is an adaptive one. So I can able to tell intelligent automation is an adaptive one. So by using this, the future AI developers, they can able to build an intelligent system, but not a static systems. You know very well what is the static systems, so which cannot be able to be modified. So that is not able to be done in the future cases. I can able to build a intelligent systems. So coming to the part of the third one, which is called as a reduced coding effort. So by using the generative AI, I can able to reduce the coding effort, which means I can able to auto-complete code. For example, like I said you about the Copilot. You know very well, nowadays the students are using Copilot through GitHub. They can able to auto-complete the code. They can able to generate repetitive crude operations, suggest optimized algorithms. Very well, they can able to, if they are creating a pseudocode, it can be generated into an executable code, and we can able to also develop automatically the test cases that can be generated through the AI. So instead of writing lot much of lines manually, nowadays the developers can able to focus on architecture, the logic and innovation. So what I conclude is AI handles a repetitive task. But you have to note one thing, this does not mean developers are replaced, but it means the developers become designers, problem solvers, system architects, and so on. So where here we can able to shift the code from the manual writing to the intelligent supervision. So by this we can able to tell that we can able to reduce the code effort. And next part coming to the continuous improvement. Here, by using the traditional software, when it is going to get released, so after release, you know that very well, we need to maintain the software. And if any cases, if you want to update the software occasionally, that is also to be done. But when I'm going to use a generative AI systems, the atmosphere is totally different, which means we can able to use the feedback loops, user interaction logs, model refinement, performance metrics. So by using this, we can able to know that the continuous learning process is going to get happen. And also along with the continuous learning, we can able to know the continuous optimization and evaluation takes place here. Just for an example, if users repeatedly correct AI generated outputs, the system can learn patterns and improve responses. So whereas the application become smarter over time, more personalized and efficient. And what makes it to make it a transform to digital transformation, I can able to say that by using these four things of accelerated prototyping, intelligent automation, a reduced coding effect, and continuous improvement, the generative AI transforms the which means a rapid application development by shifting the development model from the linear development to the intelligent iterative development, which means from the code driven system, I can take it to the AI assisted system. Similarly, from the static applications, I can able to transform to self-evaluating
Sir,
applications.
again,
Yes.
slide is in the same position.
No, sir. I'm just going to change the slide, sir.
Okay. Then it's
No,
okay.
third slide, sir. So in the next slide, we are going to discuss about the generative AI app developer workflow. So you can able to see the diagram that has been given the slide. It has four components. One is of prerequisites, build, production, and finally evaluate and iterate. So what makes a generative AI developer workflow to ensure the continuous evaluation of the AI applications, what we discussed in the previous slide, right? So starting from the prerequisites, everybody know what is prerequisites, which means the requirements which I'm going to gather from the client. So before building any generative AI solution, we must prepare the foundation. That includes identifying the business problem clearly, understanding whether the problem is suitable for AI, selecting the right model, which means the LLM. You know very well the LLM and the multi-model, etc. So here I am going to choose the proper right model which is going to involve in my generative AI solution. And next I am going to prepare for the data sets. So data sets in the case, it can be of a structured or it can be of a unstructured, it can be of a document or it can be of a embeddings. And also when I'm going to take a categorization of the prerequisites, I can need to ensure the infrastructure readiness, which means where I'm going to upload, whether I'm going to use the cloud or I'm going to use to implement the APIs, or if I'm going to use the vector databases, that should be classified in a simple manner. So for example, if I want to build a chatbot, just imagine if I'm going to build a chatbot for the student query. So initially what I have to collect, which means I need to collect the academic regulation of the college, the fee structures, what are the timetables which I'm going to circulate for the students based on the departments, and the frequently asked question documents. So these are the basic things which I need to build up to develop a chatbot for the student query. So here, without the proper requirements, I cannot able to generate by using the AI. So if I'm going to do that, I'll be getting the inaccurate results. So second is of the build. So once the requirement has got collected in a proper way, next stage is to build by using the AI. So this is how where the actual development begins. So in this case, in the build case, I'm going to develop the actual component. So what does the build phase include? Which means the build phase, which includes the integrated AI models, which example like GPT based systems. So here I need to connect the API, I need to design the prompts, I need to develop the UAV using tools like Streamlit. And if it is a need, I need to use the RAG architecture to connect with the vector databases for the retrieval. Here in the build phase, I'm going to concentrate on the rapid prototyping. Just in the earlier days, it took months, but whereas when I'm going to use the generative AI, with the API low code tools, I can able to create a working prototype in days or even in hours. I can able to complete my work. So this particular build stage is high experimental. Why? Because I'm going to involve the text prompts, adjust the temperature, modify the system instruction. I can able to fine tune my response format. So this is how the build phase is going to get involved. So next comes the production. What is the production phase is going to do? So once validated, I'm going to deploy to the production, right? So, but production does not mean the end. Why? Because if I want to make some updation after the product get released, so in that cases, the production is not get completely gets closed in the development phase. So once validated, we need to deploy the production. And what are things I'm going to involve in production is I can able to monitor model drift. I can able to track usage analytics. I can able to observe cost consumption. I can able to collect the user feedback. So through this, I can able to also ensure security and compliance. So for example, if I want to tell what is the production that is going to take place in generative AI, if users start asking new types of queries, the model context must evolve. We need to update the knowledge bases. We need to retrain embeddings and optimize prompts. And next category is of the evaluate and iterate. The last phase that is going to involve in the generative AI app developer workflow. So here, this is the most critical phase in the Gen AI development. Why? Because the generative AI systems may hallucinate, it may produce biased responses, or it can also generate irrelevant content. You know very well in ChatGPT, for example, if I'm going to choose a particular option of giving a prompt to identify the solution, just you can able to check it out. If I'm going to give the same prompt again in the ChatGPT or in some other chatbot, you may get different answers, right? So whatever I'm going to give, it can generate the irrelevant content. So what we have to do is we must test for accuracy. We need to check for toxicity. We need to measure the response latency, and then we need to validate the cost per request and also involve the domain experts based upon the content which I'm going to develop it. For example, if you want to deploy an AI tool for legal drafting, what are the things we must ensure are we need to legally terminology correctness, we need to check about the compliance with the regulation, and what are the fabricated reference we should avoid it. So these things are to be considered when I'm going to deploy an AI. So these are the four phases which is involved in generative AI app developer workflow. Number one is prerequisites, build, production, and finally evaluate and iterate. And one thing I need to explain over here, why the particular workflow is cyclical. You can able to see the diagram over here in the slide. It is of a cyclical. Why it is cyclical means it is not like a traditional waterfall development such as what we do in the software development life cycle. And generative AI apps evolves continuously. So each production insight feedback into the better prompts, the training data should be better, and also for the better architecture decisions. So it is considered as a cyclical approach which ensures the continuous evaluation of AI applications. Going to the next slide. So what is platform engineering, right? So platform engineering, we call that as a backbone of the scalable Gen AI apps. You can able to see the diagram over here. We have three things. One is a free usable platform, models and features, and core foundation. So before seeing that, the layers, let me explain you about what is platform engineering in Gen AI. So normally the platform engineering refers to building a strong reusable foundation that supports the rapid development of AI-powered applications. So instead of developing every AI solution from scratch, we build a structured ecosystem consisting of the core infrastructure, reusable AI components, and also we must properly select the latest models and APIs. So by using these three things, we can able to enable speed, scalability, and governance. Now coming to the component of the three layers of platform.
Sorry for disturbing.
Yes,
Slide
ma'am.
is in the second slide only. Check it.
Now, ma'am, I'm explaining about the platform engineering, ma'am. Has it been changed?
No, why generative AI transforms rapid application development? It is in the second slide only.
Just a minute, ma'am.
Now it is okay, sir.
Are you able to see the platform engineering slide, ma'am?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. So coming to the part of platform engineering, I had explained about what is platform engineering. I hope you had understood about it. And next, coming to the part of the 3 layers of the platform engineering. So starting from the core foundation is the first layer in the platform engineering. Followed by that is of the reusable platform, and third comes the model and features. So let me explain about you what is a core foundation. So the core foundation is based upon the security, compliance, and infrastructure, right? So what does the base layer? It acts as a base layer. What does it include are if I want to implement in the cloud infrastructure, how I'm going to provide the security frameworks. So what are the compliance mechanism which I'm going to make over it? How I'm going to make the data governance? What is the cost which I'm going to itself for these purposes? So these things are the inclusion of the core foundation. So if you want to explain clearly about it, in enterprise environments, the AI apps cannot just work. They must be secure, compliant, and reliable. So this layer ensures the regulatory compliance, the data privacy, and the production stability. For example, if I want to have authentication system that should be involved in my product, so I can able to use that over here. And if I want to implement the API gateways, if I want to monitor the dashboards, if I want to make the storage to get secured, all those things can be done in the core foundation, right? So this is the purpose of using the core foundation in the platform engineering. So next layer comes the reusable platform. So what does the reusable platform components are? We call this layer as the acceleration layer. Core foundation, we call it as a base layer, whereas the reusable platform, it is called as the acceleration layer. So here it includes the AI SDK, right? So software development kit, the prompt template. We can able to also include the AI modules which are pre-builtly used, and we can able to have the middleware connectors. All those things are included in the acceleration layer, right? To tell you this as a clear one, so instead of rewriting the prompt chains, the API integrations or embedding pipelines, every time the team creates a reusable components that can be plugged into multiple applications. For example, a reusable chatbot framework, a document summarization module, a vector search pipeline template can be done for this in the acceleration layer. So third comes the model and features layer. This layer is called as innovation layer. So once again, to have a glance, core foundation is called as a base layer. The reusable platform is called as the acceleration layer, and models and features are called as the innovation layer. So what does the models and features layer consist of are the latest LLMs which are involved in it. What are the fine-tuned models I'm going to retrieve from the core foundation, and what are the APIs which are available in the real time, what are the embedding models that are to be involved, and if you want to involve the multi-model capabilities that can also be done in the model and features. So this layer ensures we can quickly adapt to the new AI capabilities without redesigning the entire system. So for example, if you want to tell example, you know very well about the GPT-4 version, right? It improves the new model that is going to get released. We can upgrade at this layer without changing the business logic, right? So coming to the part of why platform engineering matters, you can able to see 4 points over there. Number one is a reusable component and standardized framework which accelerate the development velocity, seamless adoption of cutting edge AI models and capabilities, built-in security, compliance, and cost governance, enhanced team collaboration, eliminating the duplicated effort. So if you want to tell you clearly about this, the benefits, one is the faster development, which means the reusable framework eliminate the duplication of effort. So that is the first thing which I'm going to tell it as a faster development in why we want to consider the platform engineering. And the second thing I can able to tell you about the standardization. What standardization is? we can able to use the common API and coding standards which reduce the large teams. And also why we want to use the platform engineering is of the security and compliance. So by this I can able to provide the built-in governance which prevents the data leakage and which ensures the legal alignment. And fourth thing, automatically comes the cost control. So I can able to monitor the tools so that we can able to prevent the uncontrolled AI API on spending too much of cost. And we can also say one more point why I have to use the platform engineering is the collaboration, which means I can able to involve multiple teams which can able to build an AI application on same platform without any conflict, right? So these are the major vital thing which are used to make use of the platform engineering. Going to the next slide. Can you able to see the next slide of anatomy of a generative AI application? Is it visible? Ma'am?
No,
Is the
sir.
next slide?
No,
Okay.
no.
Now it's
Yeah.
okay. Anatomy of okay,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. So next we are going to see about the anatomy of a generative AI application. So this we call it as the core structure of the generative AI application, and it typically follows the three-tier architecture. So this architecture which is used to ensure the scalability, modularity, and the seamless enterprise integration. We can able to see the three layers: the presentation layer, application logic layer, and finally the data layer. Let me see one by one. And the first layer is called as a presentation layer. We call this layer as user interface, right? So it is a topmost layer in the among the three categorization, which is called as a user interface, also called as a presentation layer, right? So normally if you want to develop a new particular product, so which makes the user directly interact with it, so what I have to do, the first thing I need, it can be of a web app, or it can be of a mobile app, or it can be of a chatbot interface, right? Or even I can able to generate a interface dashboard too. So for example, when a user types a query into a chatbot using a tools like Streamlit, right, the input is captured here. So by this, the presentation layer can able to tell you that it is responsible for collecting the user input. The user input can be of a text, or it can be of a voice, or it can be of an image too. So whatever it may be, the categorization of the input may vary, but we need to collect the user input in the presentation layer. And also the presentation layer, it is responsible for displaying the AI generated responses. It is also used for ensuring the good user experience, and also we can able to manage the session handling, right? If you want to tell in a single term what does a presentation layer refers for, it is a phase of the AI system. So we'll call it as a phase of the AI system, the presentation layer. So next comes the application logic layer. The application logic layer we can able to tell you as the brain of the application. So why we call the brain of the application means in this layer it includes the large language models, the prompt engineering logic is involved here, business rules, and API integrations. For example, if we are using the Azure OpenAI, the actual GPT model runs this layer. Okay, so what does it going to happen is the important process such as the user input is processed over here. We can, if I'm going to use the prompt engineering, the prompt is constructed and refined over here, and the system may retrieve relevant documents when it is going to get embedded, and also the AI model generates a response, right? So we here we'll be using the tool like LongChain. The LangChain is going to use for connecting the LLMs, and also it is used for the external APIs, databases, and memory modules. We can able to say that this particular layer, the application logic layer, we can able to convert the raw user input into intelligent output. So in such a way, we can able to represent about the application logic layer. So in this stage, the last layer is of the data layer. We'll call it as a power intelligence of the generative AI. So the third layer is of the data layer, which is called as a power intelligence. So why it is called as a power intelligence? Why? Because I am going to use the vector databases over here, and also the knowledge bases can be implemented. And if I want to use a data pipelines too, I can able to implement here, right? So these are the three layers. If I want to explain the data layer with example in the case, I can take a simple example such as if a company builds an internal chatbot, just imagine a company is there which in need of a internal chatbot. It should not only rely on the general GPT knowledge, but it must retrieve the company specific documents from a vector database. So this technique is called as RAG. Already we can discuss about the RAG. What is RAG is retrieval augmented generation. So through this I can able to develop in the data layer. So these are the three layers which are which we call as anatomy of the generative AI applications. And one more thing I need to explain over here. By using the data layer, I can able to ensure the context awareness, the private document access, and if you want to have the updated data integration, that is also possible here. And if you want to secure the information, so that is also done over here, right? So without this layer, I tell you that the AI responses may become generic or outdated. So how these layers are work together? We have I explained with three different layers. One is of presentation, application logic, and finally the data layer. When I'm going to take these three layers, how it's going to work together means initially the user types a question in the UI, and then followed by that the application layer, it processes the input and builds a prompt, and then the relevant data is retrieved from the data layer, and next step we can able to have the generated response from the LLMs, and finally the response is displayed back in the UI. So by using this, I can able to make the separation of the scalable system, secure system. I can able to maintain this easily with the enterprise ready version, right? So this is how the architecture matters here in the generative AI applications. So next, I'm going to the next slide. Is it visible, the key tools and frameworks?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay, okay.
Thank you.
So here we are going to explain and see about the tools and the frameworks which are used in the Gen AI rapid development. You can able to see 4 different types of tools over here. One is of LangChain and LangFlow, Streamlit, Data Robot Platform, and the Azure OpenAI with the machine learning flow, right? So we are going to learn here about each and every tool in detail, and what is the role that plays in the generative AI. So first we are going to look about the LangChain and LangFlow. So here the LangChain is a powerful framework which is used to design to build the context aware application using the LLMs. And you know LLMs, right? LLM stands for large language models. So instead of directly calling the GPT like models or LangChain, the LangChain is going to allow to connect with the LLMs with the external data sources. So by using this, I can able to see the chat history, and I can also integrate the API and the tools over here. So what is the purpose of using the rapid development in the LangChain? In the case, when using the LangChain in the rapid development, it generates the modular architecture, which means combining the chain, agent, the tools I'm going to integrate together, which is called as the modular architecture. And also it is easily integrated with the vector databases, and also it supports the retrieval augmented generation. So through this, I can able to reduce the backend coding effort. So this is how the LangChain works out. So in this the particular tool, we have one more tool which is called as LangFlow. What is meant by LangFlow is it provides a visual drag and drop interfaces for building up the LangChain workflow. So through LangChain only I can able to implement the LangFlow. Why? Because I can able to first generate the LangChain workflow. Through the LangChain workflow, I am going to provide the visual drag and drop interface. So what is the purpose of using the LangFlow is it is used specifically for the students, for rapid prototyping, and also those who have non-developers that does not know about the coding. So they can also easily use the LangFlow component, and it can act like a demo-based learning, right? If I want to conclude in one version of LangChain and LangFlow, I can tell you like LangChain is like the engine, but whereas the Lang flow is like a visual dashboard to design that engine, right? So this is the simplicity of explaining about the particular tool which is called as Langchain and Langflow. So next tool is of the Streamlit. What is the purpose of using Streamlit? Note one thing, the Streamlit is a Python based framework which allows us to build interactive AI web applications in minutes. So what are the things that can be done in fraction of seconds are, I can able to create text inputs, I can able to add buttons, I can able to display charts, and I can also show the AI generative responses. So these are the things which are available in the Streamlit. And one more thing we have to note it down. It is specifically used for the students. Why? Because if certain students has no front-end knowledge, so here the front-end knowledge is not a required one for using the Streamlit. And similarly, if you want to perform a AI mini project, this tool helps the perfect one to build up the mini projects. And if you want to have a clean and minimal design, that is also possible by using the Streamlit tool, right? So if you want to have a resume analyzer, the Streamlit also acts as a perfect one, or it acts as a chatbot, or if you want to summarize a document, that is also possible here. So all these things can be easily and quickly deployed using the Streamlit. So if you want to perform the development time from weeks to hours, I can use the Streamlit tool, right? So next tool is of the data robot platform. So it acts as a framework over here and also as a tool. What is data robot is? It is an enterprise AI platform which combines the generative AI, predictive AI, governance, and model monitoring. Combining all these four things, we will call it as an enterprise AI platform. So specifically, we call this as a data robot, right? Why this particular data robot is a need? Because generally in this particular scenario of the real world things, we can able to build AI is not enough one, but what we expected is we need to model the monitoring, bias detection, if you want to have the cost control, and or if you want to track the performance, or if you want to complaints the support, all those things are integrated together called as a enterprise building model. So here the data robot, it does the particular work by governing the enterprise version, by facilitating all the four categories of generative AI, predictive AI, governance, and model monitoring. So these things are done by the data robot platform tool and framework. And next comes the Azure OpenAI and ML flow, right? So we are going to learn two different things. One is of the Azure OpenAI, and next comes the machine learning flow, right? So what is Azure OpenAI? This Azure OpenAI, everybody knows that it is the Microsoft cloud platform which provides the access for the GPT models, or if you want to have the scalable deployment, or if you want to have the integration with the Azure ecosystem. It allows companies to deploy AI models securely within their infrastructure. So for this purpose, I can able to use the Azure OpenAI tool. So what is ML flow? As I said, it is a complete machine learning life cycle by including the tracking of the experiment purpose, or if you want to have the deployment, monitoring, the model versioning, all those things are integrated together as a machine learning life cycle, and it will proceed with the process. But you have to note one thing, this ML flow is very crucial when means if I want to have the multiple developers are working in a single project. At that time it is a tedious one, and in this we have two more drawbacks over here. One is we need to continuously update the models immediately, and other thing is the monitoring of the production is always required for this, because sometimes it may deviate and the work will get spoiled. So we should have these three things as the important considerations. So building a model is like a 30% of the work, but managing and monitoring in the production is the remaining 70%. So this is a thing which I can able to tell you about an real-time example, right? And one more example, if you want to give you, means you can heard about the RFP bot. So what is RFP bot is? It is a type which is developed by the data robot. It stands for the request for proposal, which means in many companies, especially like consulting firms, information technology, what they used to do is the client sent the large documents asking the vendors to propose solutions like pricing, the timelines, technical capabilities, and so on. So if I'm going to prepare these responses to RFP, it takes extremely, I'm going to consume time, right? And similarly, I need to refer the previous proposals which are available in my company. I need to refer the documents which are available in my company. So all those things are integrated together, which makes the RFP, which means the request for proposal. So here in the RFP bot, it comes in with the hybrid AI models. You have to know what is hybrid AI model, which means the integration of the generative and the predictive AI together is called as a hybrid AI, right? So what does the generative AI does? The first slide I can explain you what is generative AI. Similarly, the same thing has been done over here. If you want to generate a proposal content, then that is done by the Gen AI by means of the natural language responses. And the second thing which is going to have in this is the predictive AI. What this predictive AI does is it scores the responses, evaluate the win probability, and ensure compliance, right? So instead of just generating text like ChatGPT, it also predicts which proposal sections are strong, which is the likelihood of winning, are there any compliance risk. These things are be done in the hybrid AI model. So this helps us to make the enterprise ready, right? And the next part is of the vector database. Just a minute. Yes, so this is the example which I had explained about you. You can see this. Is it visible, ma'am? The real world example?
No, sir.
Just a minute.
Yes, now it's visible.
Okay, okay, ma'am. Fine. So this is how we are discussing about the RFP bot by the data robot. The first one is the continuous feedback loop, and next is of the vector database. Third comes the user interface, and last is of the generative and predictive models, right? So these four things which are integrated as the RFP bot, which is developed by the data robot. So next comes the best practices for a rapid generative AI development. You can able to see 5 different aspects. Number 1 is define and validate. Number 2 is build modularly. Number 3, evaluate continuously. Number 4, monitor production. And number 5 is prioritize responsibility. So let me see one by one. So before that, dear participants, in this slide we are going to discuss about the 5 essential best practices that ensure successful development of the generative AI applications. So by following these practices are critical, especially when we aim for the rapid development without compromising the quality, ethics, and scalability. So let me see one by one. The first one is of the define and validate. So I assure that this first and most important step when I'm going to consider the problem clarity. So before jumping into the tools like OpenAI, APIs, or the frameworks like LangChain, we must ask one question to among ourselves, that is, what exact problem are we solving? So this is the question we need to arise ourselves. What exact problem are we arriving, right? And the next question, is the generative AI really required here? And the third is, can a rule-based system solve it more efficiently? So these 3 questions we need to arise among ourselves to have a clear thing whether the problem definition is clearly given over here. For example, if a college wants an automated frequently asked question chatbot, then the Gen AI is suitable. But if the system only needs fixed responses, traditional programming is better, right? So always validate a business value, feasibility, cost versus benefit, and the data availability. So without this proper validation, AA projects fail, not because of technology, but because of the poor problem definition. We should have a clear and validated problem definition initially before starting my process. So second step is build modularly. So this is a technical best practice. So instead of building one large AI system, what I'm going to do is I'm going to break it into modules, right? Some examples for breaking into modules of the large AI systems are prompt module, model integration module, retrieval module, UA module, monitoring module. These are some of the modules which I can able to have it in the breakup of the modules from an large AI system, right? So here, what I'm going to convey is, after breaking up into each and every module, we need to work independently based on modules. Why we want to have a modular? Because by breaking into modules, I can able to easily debug the things. I can able to reuse the components wherever it is necessary. I can able to make the faster iteration, and also the measuring, which is called as scaling, that is also a easier one over here, right? So I need to have this space as a common one. Sorry. So the third step is of evaluate continuously. So the generative AI is probabilistic and not deterministic. You have to note this particular thing. Always the generative AI is a probabilistic one, but not a deterministic one, which means I can use the same prompt but slightly different outputs. So what I have to consider is the evaluation must be in a continuous structure, and it can be in multidimensional. So through this, I can able to measure the accuracy, relevance, the hallucination rate, bias, toxicity, and the cost per response. So these things are measured through the evaluation of these three things called as continuous, structured, and multidimensional. So in enterprise system like data robot, there are built-in evaluation metrics that monitor truthfulness and performance, right? But you have to know, remember one thing, if you don't evaluate continuously, the model drift will silently degrade your system, right? That should be noted each and everything where I'm going to have the evaluation, right? So the fourth one is of the monitor production. So here the monitor production states that deploying AI is not the end. As I said before the two slides I had said you, deploying AI is not the end, but the production monitoring is a crucial. Why? Because in certain times the data will get changed, or the behavior may change based upon the user, the context may change, or unexpectedly the cost may increase, right? So these are some of the things where it's going to spoil the production. So what are things we have to do is we must monitor the production part by means of the API usage, latency, the token which I'm going to use it, the user feedback too, and some error patterns. So we need to measure these aspects. So if you have to note one thing, AI without monitoring is like a car without a brake, right? You know very well, if I'm going to travel through a car, the brake is a must. So if I'm going to not have a brake, the similar kind, the monitoring, without monitoring the production, it may lead to the failure, right? The last phase is of the prioritized responsibility. So here itself I have mentioned over you that we need to ensure the fairness, privacy, security, and ethical AI practices throughout the process. So here, this is the most, again, an important practice where I can able to note down the fair, secure, transparent, and privacy preserving, right? So you need to ask yourself when you're going to work with the responsibility, that are we exposing sensitive data to external API? Are we complying with the regulations? Are we checking bias in outputs? So in these three terms, we can able to ask the question to ourselves. So in this aspect, I can able to get the proper responsible AI by means of the data protection, human in the loop, ethical prompt design, and so on. So these are the 5 things which are involved in the best practices for a rapid generative app development, the application development, right? And to conclude this particular slide, By following these 5 aspects, I can able to build a correct one, modular one, continuously evaluated one, and the production is properly monitored, and ethically and responsibly I am safe, right? So these are things which I can able to arrive by following the 5 different practices. So next slide, challenges and considerations. So here, while generative AI enables rapid prototyping and faster innovation, we are going to build a production ready application, right? So just not by connecting the LLM API and deploying it, we need to have the challenge and we must carefully manage it. So what are the 4 different things here we need to consider based upon the challenges are: number 1, model drift and data freshness, and followed by that explainability and trust, cost versus performance, and finally the enterprise integration, right? So first we talk about the model drift and the data freshness. So here the generative AI models are trained on the historical data sets. So however, in the real world application, there will be a change in the business rules, and what are trends, the market trends which are going to evolve day by day basis, and also the regulation may get changed or updated, and there can also be a different aspect of user expectations. So we cannot able to do the continuous update of our knowledge base or embeddings, but whereas we can able to start by giving the outdated answers, irrelevant suggestions, and inconsistent responses. For example, just imagine a GenAI based admission chatbot for a college. If fee structure changes but the vector database is not updated, the AI will confidently give wrong information over here. So what are things we have to do it? One is we must implement the continuous tuning strategies, or we might use the updated embeddings, or probably we should have the feedback loops over here. So what are the things that are to get updated, that will be get updated, and it will be held in the data sets in the vector database, right? And main one thing is we need to monitor the accuracy regularly. Okay. So next comes the cost versus performance. So this is the second consideration and challenge. This is the second challenge over here, where the large language models, the LLMs, like GPT based systems are powerful and they are computationally expensive too, right? So when I'm going to make the scaling applications by using this, we can have more users, larger prompts, and complex reasoning, which means the more user tends to the more API calls, the larger prompts tends to the more token usage, and the complex reasoning may tends to the higher compute cost, right? So we must balance on these 3 aspects, such as response quality, latency, and infrastructure costs. So what I am coming to tell you was the strategies that should get included with the prompt optimization and the smaller models where it is possible, and using the hybrid API as we discussed earlier, the hybrid API which is a predictive and generative models, and the efficient token management. So as developers, we need to think about not just the accuracy, but about the sustainability and the scalability, right? So the third challenge here that has been given is the explainability and trust. Okay. So based upon this challenge, we need to have the often black box system, we used to call it, where they produce the impressive outputs such as why did the model give this answer, what sources were used, and is the output factually correct. So based upon this, I can able to conclude my things. Okay. And last comes the enterprise integration. This is the final one. The most organization already they should have the legacy database. They should be having the individual CRM tools, and they'll be having some ERP systems over there, and they'll be having some security policies. They'll be having complaints and reports based upon the framework. So all those things are the enterprise integration, but where the generative AI cannot work in isolation. So here we must ensure the secure API integrations, what are the role-based access control, how does the data encryption takes place, and how does a compatibility with the existing infrastructure has been seamlessly connected over here, right? So this can be done by means of the audit logs, monitoring the dashboards, governing the controls, all those things, right? So what I tell you is, without the proper integration, the AI remains a demo, but not as a production system. Okay. So to have a conclusion on this particular slide, what I'm going to summarize is building a generative AI app is very easy. So everybody knows that. Building a reliable, scalable, trustworthy, or even if you want to build an enterprise steady Gen AI system, so that is a real challenge which I'm going to face, right? So how can I able to success? How can I able to measure my successes based upon the continuous monitoring? I can have the cost optimization, especially, right, and ethical responsibility, the strong platform engineering. So these are some of the things where I can able to measure my success when I'm going to use these things. So coming to the part of conclusion. So how I'm going to have the future of rapid application development with generative AI, right? So these are the conclusions where I can derive 4 things over here. One is of the automated coding and testing, and followed by that the intelligent agent collaboration, the platform driven innovation, and adaptive intelligence at scale. So the first one is of the automated coding and testing. It is a vital thing where I can have a future in the rapid app development by using the generative AI, where I can able to have the tools like GitHub Copilot, OpenAI Codex, and everybody have heard about the Google Gemini Code Assist too, right? So these are some of the examples where the automated coding and testing takes place, where it is capable of generating complete modules, writing the unit test cases automatically. I can able to detect bugs before the deployment, right? So these things can be happen when I'm going to use the automated coding and testing. So this is one of the future of rapid application development when using a generative AI. So I can tell you one thing to evolve this RAT, to evolve from the rapid coding to the rapid solution designing. Okay. So next comes the intelligent agent collaboration. So this is one of the most existing development. Just instead of using a tool, I can able to suggest architecture changes, optimize database queries, and if I want to handle DevOps tasks automatically, that is also can be done in the intelligent agent collaboration, where 2 different categories will get integrated. One is of developer and the AI pair programmer. Both of us will get together over here and they will start working out. Okay. Next, third comes the platform driven innovation. It is also a part of the future. We can able to tell that how, because in the earlier stages the developers built everything from scratch, right? If you want to have a project to get built, right, if a particular component is already available, just alternative changes to be made. But whereas I do not know what is things happened in my project, so what will I do is I'll be starting from the scratch. But nowadays with the cloud native platforms like Azure AI, the Microsoft one, and the Amazon AWS Bedrock, and the Google Cloud Vertex AI, I can able to directly enter into the era of the platform based innovation. Why? Because this particular platform, it will be provide the pre-trained models already, it will be available over there. I can able to monitor the tools easily, I can able to deploy easily, and also I can able to govern on the frameworks, right? So here the innovations becomes faster, and because I can able to assemble, customize, deploy, my work gets over. But in the earlier stages, what we used to do when I'm going to start from the scratch, I'll start from the design, I'm going to build it, I'm going to test it, and then finally I'm going to debug it, and I'm going to integrate it. So this is how it has been happened in the earlier stage. But whereas now I'm going to assemble, customize, and deploy over here, right? So the platform driven innovation is a future of the rapid application development. And last part is the adaptive intelligence at scale. Here the RAD becomes truly intelligent, because in the future application I can able to learn from the user interactions, I can improve my thing automatically, also I can able to personalize the experience dynamically, right? So coming to the part of the conclusion, by the concept what I had explained today, the future of the rapid application development is not about writing the code faster, but it is a thing about building the intelligent systems by including the design, improve and scale automatically, right? Then connect to the students. Okay, so as a future developer, you are the coding will still matter, but even how by using the proper prompt engineering, I can able to build my work easily with less cost, right? So I'm giving this as a conclusion over here. Thank you, participants. Any queries? Do you have any queries? Ma'am? Ma'am, is it audible?
Yes, sir. One of the
Yeah, ma'am.
students, Tarun Kumar Soni, is
Okay.
asking that as a
Yes, ma'am.
student, should we focus more on mastering AI fundamentals or on learning to strategically leverage AI tools for faster innovation?
I can able to tell you that we can depend on the faster innovation. Why? Because in the future, all the IT concerns are going to the AI only, right? So they prefer to innovate new things because everybody knows to how to use the prompt. But still, how can I innovate from others? How can I able to have my things as a unique one? So I prefer that innovation takes place over here. Any other questions? Yes, you can have a strategically AI tools, leverage AI tools for the faster innovation. Yes. Do you have any other clarifications?
Sir, question on the screen. Can you able to see that?
Yes, sir. I can explain over that. As increasingly democratic rapid prototyping, how can the students ensure they are developing original thinking rather than become over dependent on intelligent tools? See, nowadays we are going to depend only upon tools, right? So already we have a predefined set of tools available in the real time, and through that we can able to make our part a dependent one. So through the prompt engineering concept, where I can able to develop my things as per the strategy or the requirements that a user is going to give us. So we should depend upon the AI tools. If AI dramatically reduce the technical barrier to building proper prototypes, what is your opinion becoming the true measure on innovator competence? That depends. I cannot able to suggest you a direct answer. Why? Because based upon the innovation, where each and every user who are going to use the AI, that may differ. Do you think the future belongs to those who can build AI systems from scratch or to those who can creatively orchestrate existing? Yes, man. If you want to develop from the scratch, it takes too much of time, right? You need to have the basic idea starting from the preliminary step. So instead of that, I can able to orchestrate by using the existing AI technologies. Why I have to depend from the scratch? So even I can able to see a lot much of students, if a already developed product has been given to get modified, they do not know how to understand and where the logic starts. So what they do is they will be starting from the scratch. So we should avoid that. We should use the existing AI technologies, and we need to make up the understandable things which are involved in my project, and then I can able to have the continuation. So instead of starting from the scratch. From your experience, what differentiates a successful AI prototype that scales into a real product from one that fails after sprint phase? Yes, a good question. Real product, this is done by means of the testing. I said you right. I need to monitor how the measure is going to get takes place, how I'm going to track the production, right? So when I'm going to get measure all those things, I can able to state that whether the aspect is followed based upon the user requirements. Then only I can able to tell you that the real product is it is failed or it is going to the next stage.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable session. I hope no more queries. So at the end of the session, feedback link will be posted in the comment section. So kindly fill the form and get your e-certificates. So let's end up the session with vote of thanks. Now I would like to invite Mrs. A. Lakshmi, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Applications, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon to all. It is my privilege to propose the vote of thanks for today's insightful webinar on AI innovation sprints of rapid prototyping for digital transformation. I would like to begin with a quote. The gratitude is not only the greatest of riches but the parent of all others. With this spirit, I extend my heartfelt thanks to everyone who made this session successful. First and foremost, I express my sincere gratitude to our esteemed resource person, Dr.M.Sabarish, Assistant Professor, Department of MCA, MEASI Institute of Information Technology. So your session was truly enlightful and inspiring, as it is rightly said. An expert is someone who makes the complex simple, and you have done exactly that today. I extend my gratitude to our secretary, Mr. Lalit Kumar O. Jain, for his unwavering support. The support is the foundation on which a success is built. I extend my sincere thanks to our respected principal, Dr. N. Sujata ma'am, for her constant encouragement and support. The leadership is not about being in charge, but about taking care of our in your charges and your guidance continuously motivating us. My heartfelt thanks to the head of the Department of A.M. Trinalai ma'am for her valuable guidance and encouragement. I would like to thank all the faculty members of the Department of Computer Application for their dedication efforts in organizing this webinar. The teamwork divides the task and multiples of the success. I special thanks to the Mr. B. Balaji, Public Relations Officer, and his technical team for smoothly managing session through the technical support. The technology is the best when it brings our peoples together. So finally, I thank all the heads, faculties, and participants for their active involvement. Once again, thank you for all.
Thank you. Jai Hind.